who come to me every day and say, you know, we got to fix this system. It's not working for any of us. There are employers who are trying to pay for their employees, and they tell me the same thing. It's not just that we have more than 45 million uninsured people. You go to any emergency room in Tarrant County or anywhere else, you're going to find it packed because people have nowhere else to go. Now, that is not what emergency rooms were set up for, is it?
No.
But we also have a lot of what I call underinsured people, people with insurance who can't get health care when their doctor says they need it because the insurance company says no. You know, as a senator, I spend a lot of my time, and so does my staff, basically trying to intervene with insurance companies so they will actually pay for the health care that is needed. I had a man call me from northern New York, and he said, you know, Senator, I've worked for the same company for 20 years. I've always had insurance. I frankly never needed it very much. And now my son's been diagnosed with a rare illness, and the doctors say there's one place in America where he should be treated. The insurance companies say no. They're not going to send him there. What am I supposed to do? So, you know, I get involved, and my staff gets involved, and, you know, the insurance company decides they don't want bad publicity, so they say, okay, fine, we'll send him there. I don't think that a father who thought he was insured should have to go to a United States senator to get the health care that his very sick son needs. And he needs to
Right.
that in America.
Right.
I also want to set a goal of energy independence and security. You know, Texas has been at the forefront of supplying America's energy needs, going back, you know, I don't know how many decades. But we can't keep being dependent upon foreign oil. We have got to have more homegrown energy. And there's no reason we can't do that. You know, when I was a little girl and the Russians sent Sputnik up into space, and, you know, some audiences I have to explain what that means, but, you know, that was kind of a scary moment. We were all afraid, what was going to happen? Well, what happened was that our government and our great businesses got together in a partnership and figured out how we were going to continue to innovate and make a difference for our country. Well, that's what we need to do now with energy. You know, we need to invest in biofuels and biodiesel and wind and solar and geothermal and hydrogen and everything else that we can work on. And other countries are far ahead of us. Germany is getting an enormous amount of energy now from solar panels that they're putting on people's houses and businesses. And the last time I looked, Germany was not a tropical climate. You have more sunny days in Texas than they do in Germany, don't you? And look at little Denmark. They're getting their energy from wind. And now you're finally putting wind farms all over West Texas. That's beginning to happen around America. But we're going to have to do so much more, and we need to be organized to do it. So I'm advocating a comprehensive approach to be able to set in motion the kind of research we need and getting into the marketplace. Like, here's one of the problems we've got with biofuels. It's not just corn ethanol, that's what's leading the way now, but we can use a lot of different things to make ethanol and then blend it with gas and do what the Brazilians did. You know, the Brazilians are practically independent because they use sugar cane. And the sugar cane is mixed with gas and they don't have to import very much gas. But we got to get our oil companies to actually put the pumps at the gas stations so that we can take advantage of it. So this is important for our security, and it's also important to deal with global warming, which is real. I think the president's finally recognized that, although he doesn't want to do anything about it. And I believe we can create millions of new jobs if we tackle energy independence and global warming. And we need new jobs for hardworking Americans. Because we've got to set a goal that we're going to have shared prosperity again. You know, a lot of people are doing really well. Oh, about the top 10%. But most Americans are not seeing their incomes rise. Americans are working harder. Productivity's gone up 18% in the last 6 years, but the average family income's gone down $1,300. While healthcare costs are up, energy costs, particularly at the gas pump, are up, and so is college tuition and other costs. So we've got to figure out how we're going to create new jobs and enable people to stay in the middle class and get into the middle class, which is the engine of our economic prosperity. And we do have to make college more affordable. You know, it's just not right that so many hardworking families can't afford to send their kids to school or keep them in school. And I hear about that everywhere I go. Now, when I went to college a lot of years ago, my father said we'd saved enough money for room, board, and tuition, but if I wanted to buy a book, I'd have to earn the money. And that was fair, because I'd worked ever since I was 13 during the summers. So I graduated from college, and then I decided I wanted to go to law school, and my dad said, well, that wasn't part of the bargain. You're going to have to figure out how to do that yourself. So, you know, I worked, and I got a scholarship, but I also had to borrow money from the government. And I borrowed it for about 2% interest, and I didn't have to worry about a student loan company ripping me off. And that is unfortunately what too many families have to worry about today. So we're going to try to clean all of that up. We're also going to try to give more kids a better chance in school by having access to universal free kindergarten for 4-year-olds. You know, a lot of people say, well, I'd expect you to say that because, you know, I have worked on behalf of children's advocacy for many years. And it is true. I want to see every child have the chance to live up to his or her God-given potential. But this is a good investment for America. Because here's what happens. The research is totally clear. If a child gets a good pre-kindergarten, they can go to school longer, they'll do better, and they'll stay out of trouble. You know, a lot of states actually plan how many prison beds they will need by looking at third-grade reading scores. If you have failed the 3rd grade, the chances are it's unlikely you're going to be able to recover that ground. So I'd much rather pay for pre-kindergarten, which is a lot cheaper than building more prison beds for kids. If we can keep them out of trouble and make them productive.
Right.
And we're going to have to try to fix the government because, unfortunately, there's been a real breakdown. Yeah, that's the nicest way of putting it. You know, it's almost hard to believe when you look at all of the problems that we have seen, from Katrina, which was just such a national disgrace, to Iraq, and every place in between. I want to start with the old-fashioned idea that you actually appoint people to positions they are qualified to do.
Right, yeah!
Now, we got a lot of work at home, and Sergio mentioned trying to get back to a balanced budget and a surplus. Can you believe 6 years ago we had a balanced budget and a surplus? Yeah. And it was all squandered. Yeah. And the president really has only 2 accomplishments, if you want to call them that. One is cutting taxes on the wealthy, people like Bill and me. I never thought I'd say wealthy and Bill and me in the same sentence. But the other, as we tragically know, is the war in Iraq, which he has also not paid for. So we have to take a hard look at how vulnerable we are in the world today. Because we've lost not only our moral leadership, but our leverage. We borrow money every day from the Chinese to pay for the war in Iraq. We borrow from the Social Security Trust Fund to pay for the tax cuts for people like Bill and me. I mean, this is not adding up to a smart strategy for the future. So as president, what I will do is to begin to put our house in order here at home and reach out to the rest of the world to repair our relationships and to rebuild our alliances.